She said it so casually, like it was a joke. Her lips curved into that half-smile she used when she wanted to test my limits. "You know I can replace you fast," she said. The words slid through the room like cold air, sharp and deliberate. I looked at her, studying the woman I'd once thought I'd never lose. And yet, at that moment I realized I already had. Her name was Claire. We'd been together for almost 5 years. What started as a fiery connection had slowly turned into something colder, distant, predictable. We used to talk about everything. Our dreams, our fears, even the silly things. But lately, every conversation had turned into a contest of who could hurt the other first. That night, we were sitting in the living room. She was scrolling through her phone, barely looking at me. I had made dinner the way I used to when we first moved in together. But she hadn't even touched her plate. The scent of garlic and rosemary filled the air, but the silence between us smelled like something burning. "You're quiet again," she said, still focused on her phone. "I'm just tired," I replied. "Tired of me?" she teased, smirking without lifting her eyes. I sighed. "You really want an honest answer?" She finally looked up, that playful, reckless light flickering in her eyes. "Please, you act like I'd be devastated." That's when she said it, that single sentence that broke something inside me. "You know I can replace you fast." There was no hesitation, no guilt, just the careless confidence of someone who believed she could never lose. I stared at her for a moment, feeling something shift deep inside me. The usual anger didn't come. No shouting, no breaking things. Just a strange calm, the kind that comes when the last piece of hope finally dies. "Then don't waste time," I said quietly. Her smirk faded just slightly. She blinked, like she hadn't expected me to call her bluff. For a second, I saw confusion cross her face, then annoyance. "Wow, really mature," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're so dramatic sometimes." But I wasn't being dramatic. I was being honest. For months, I'd been fighting for something she'd already stopped caring about. I tried the late-night talks, the romantic gestures, the apologies for things I hadn't even done. None of it mattered. She'd already checked out emotionally. I was just a placeholder until someone new made her feel the way I used to. So I stood up, took my jacket from the chair, and walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" she asked. I turned back slightly. "You said you could replace me fast. I'm just giving you a head start." The sound of the door closing behind me was quieter than I expected. Outside, the night felt colder, but somehow clearer. I walked with no destination in mind, just away. Away from her, away from the noise in my head, away from the version of me that begged to be chosen. The next few days passed in silence. She didn't call. Neither did I. I expected anger, guilt, something, but instead, I felt relief, like I could finally breathe again. On the 4th day, I saw her name pop up on my phone. A simple text. "So that's it? You're really done?" I stared at it for a long time before replying. "You already were." No message after that. Just more silence. But silence has a way of revealing things. Over the next week, I started noticing the weight lifting. The sleepless nights faded. The constant anxiety, the one that came from trying to prove my worth to someone who didn't care, began to disappear. And that's when I realized something. Claire hadn't just been cruel. She'd been right in her own way. People can replace each other fast. But what they can't replace is the version of you that loved them without conditions. Once that version is gone, it's gone forever. A month passed before I heard from her again. By then, my life had started to feel different. Quiet, grounded, real. I'd gone back to the gym, spent more time with friends I'd ignored for years, and started writing again. Something I hadn't done since before Claire. It felt strange at first, rediscovering the parts of myself I'd buried to keep her happy. Then, one evening, as I was leaving work, my phone buzzed again. Her name flashed across the screen. For a second, I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. "Hey!" Her voice came through, soft and uncertain. "Can we talk?" I hesitated before answering. "About what?" She sighed. "About us. About everything." I agreed to meet her, not out of hope but out of closure. We met at the same cafe where we'd had our first date. She looked different, less confident, almost nervous. She smiled when she saw me, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You look good," she said, stirring her coffee. "So do you," I replied, though it wasn't entirely true. She looked tired, the kind of tired that comes from pretending. There was an awkward silence before she spoke again. "I didn't mean what I said that night," she began softly. "I was angry. I was trying to get a reaction from you." "You did," I said calmly. "You got the one you didn't expect." Her lips pressed together. "I know I hurt you. I shouldn't have said that. It's just—" She paused, looking away. "I thought you'd fight for me." I almost laughed. "Claire, I fought for you every single day for a year. You just never noticed." She looked down, and for the first time, I saw regret in her eyes. "I messed up," she whispered. "I thought I wanted freedom, excitement, but I just ended up feeling empty." I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. She leaned forward slightly. "Is there someone else now?" I shook my head. "No, there doesn't have to be." She frowned. "So why are you acting like you don't care?" "Because I finally learned that caring doesn't mean staying," I said quietly. The words seemed to land harder than I expected. She blinked, then nodded slowly, as if she understood too late. "I miss you," she said finally. "And I hate that you're okay without me." There it was, the truth she'd been holding back. It wasn't love she missed. It was control. The comfort of knowing I'd always be there no matter how carelessly she treated me. But that version of me didn't exist anymore. I finished my coffee and stood up. "Take care of yourself, Claire." As I walked away, she called out softly, "Ryan." I stopped, turned slightly. She looked at me with glassy eyes. "Do you ever think about what we could have been?" I smiled faintly. "Every day. But I'm starting to like what I'm becoming more." When I stepped outside, the air felt lighter again. There was no anger, no bitterness, just acceptance. I'd finally understood something most people never do. Sometimes, peace doesn't come from fixing things. It comes from walking away without turning back. Over the next few weeks, I kept moving forward. I didn't block her, didn't delete our photos, didn't rewrite history. I just let it fade naturally, like old ink on paper. Once, she'd said she could replace me fast. Maybe she did. But I realized something deeper. Replacement only works when the person you lost was forgettable. I wasn't. Months later, I heard from a mutual friend that she'd broken up with the guy she'd started seeing right after me. Apparently, he treated her the same way she once treated me. Life has a strange way of teaching lessons we refuse to learn. I didn't feel satisfaction, just quiet understanding. Sometimes losing someone isn't punishment, it's protection. When I look back now, I don't remember her words as an insult anymore. "You know I can replace you fast," she'd said. And I had replied, "Then don't waste time." Turns out that was the moment I replaced her too. Not with another person, but with peace.